Hi everyone. Your second skills assessment assignment is due this week, so I wanted to give you a few guidelines on how to complete that assignment in this video. First of all, the process of recording and submitting the assignment is exactly the same. You're going to record a video, upload that to streamable.com, and then you'll copy the link into Blackboard and submit it to me that way. So that's exactly the same. What's a little bit different is what you're doing with the assignment. There are some similarities with the first one, and there's some differences as well. So let me go over real briefly here, just so you have an idea of what's going on and what you need to be doing for the assignment. So the second skills assignment is called using I language. I as in me, myself. So I language is the opposite of you language, where the focus of the sentence is on you, it's on the other person. Whereas with I language, the focus of attention is me and what I'm feeling and what I want to happen. So the idea here is you're going to be given 5 statements that are you statements. And those 5 statements are down here at the bottom of the screen in Blackboard under the assignment. Just like before, you have 5 statements and you need to come up with responses for all 5 of these. So you have 5 you statements that you have to transform into I statements. And to do that, again, just like with the first assessment, there's a series of steps that I want you to follow. So part of your evaluation is making sure you get each of those steps in with your statement. So let's take a look at what those steps are, and that's what I have up here. So an I statement does a couple of things. First of all, it makes a fact-based observation about the other's behavior. So what specifically is that other person doing? Not just generally, but as specific as you can make it. Then the second step uses I language to make a request for a change without demanding. So you need to tell the person what you sense is going on, what you see happening, and then what do you want them to do about it? But do that using I language. And then the third point I've got, the third step, is using a direct but calm tone of voice. You don't want to sound like you're yelling at the person. You don't want to sound sarcastic, but sound, firm and just tell them up front what you would like to happen. So you've got the statements down here at the bottom, as I said, but I've given you an example. Let's go over the example here. And by the way, there's no separate handout for the assignment like I had with the other one. All the instructions, it's fairly short and simple. Just what you need is right here. So let's take a look at the example I have. And that's right here. All right. You never do anything around here. All right. So what's wrong with that statement? We'll say, well, first of all, it's a you statement. So who's the focus, or where's the focus of attention? Well, the focus is on you. It's on that other person and what they're doing, or what they're not doing, maybe in this case. You never do anything around here. Well, another problem with it, aside from just basically you're attacking the other person, right, is it's not specific enough. You never do anything. Well, that's a pretty general statement. We want to take that and make it a little more specific. Actually, make it a lot more specific. So with each of the 5 statements you're given, you want to come up with your own situation, your own scenario. So you never do anything around here. That could apply to all kinds of things. It could be to your significant other about household chores, which is what I've got in my example here. It could be maybe 2 work colleagues at work, and they're working on a project, and one of them feels like the other one isn't carrying their weight. It could be 2 friends. It could be 2 family members. Whatever it is, you can come up with that situation yourself. So part of the assignment is to come up with specific situations for each of these statements that would fit, that would make sense with each particular one. So again, you never do anything around here. So in my hypothetical example, I've decided that this is a family household situation. So here's how I change that you statement into an I statement using those steps up here above that I went over. I have The Johnsons are coming for dinner at 7 tonight, and you're watching the ball game. I would really like your help with vacuuming and dusting. All right, so what specifically is going on? It's not just that the person isn't doing anything, but what specifically are they doing? They're watching TV when I need help cleaning the house. All right, so make it specific. And why is that important? Because we're having company tonight. Okay, so we really need to get the house straightened up and I need your help. That's essentially what we're saying. So the Johnsons are coming for dinner at 7 tonight and you're watching the ball game. That's back to step 1. Makes a fact-based observation about the person's behavior. And again, the more specific you can make that, the better. Then here comes step 2, the I statement. I would really like your help with vacuuming and dusting. So what do I want? I'm not blaming the person for anything. I'm just telling them what I want them to do. All right? Plain and simple. Now, obviously, if this were a real conversation, the person could say, no, I'm not going to help you, or no, I don't want to. They have the freedom to do that. But hopefully the idea is by using I statements and expressing what you want, that kind of helps motivate the person to see things from your perspective as well and maybe do what it is you'd like them to do. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's worth a try. So back down here to our 5 statements. Why can't you ever be on time? Do you have to be so antisocial around my family? You always have to be right. I can never get a word in edgewise. Do you think you could be more considerate of others when you come stumbling in at 3 a.m.? In case you've forgotten, I have to be up by 6 to get to work. And number 5, hey dude, is your phone broken? So those are your 5 statements. You've got to work with those. Create I statements, making a fact-based observation, deciding what that is, and then add an I statement about what you want the person to do. So that essentially is the assignment. I think just based on the first one, you've got the hang of how you need to record it and submit it. So any questions as you're coming up with these, please let me know. Otherwise, I will look forward to watching your videos. All right, have a great week. See you soon. Bye.